Back again already. You're right, lads, this is the Geordie Jedi here. Today, we have to discuss the fact that Newcastle United have now signed the new head coach, Steve McCLAREN, on a 3-year contract with an option to extend to 8 from what I hear. Now, this is a little bit of a mixed blessing. Because Steve McCLAREN, of course, the Wally with the brolly, and you can imagine if he ever dares to try to use a brolly. I was thinking whether or not to say umbrella or brolly. If he dares to use a brolly at a Newcastle game, he's going to get ripped the fuck. Even if he wins, he's going to get ripped the fuck. But we'd actually discuss what this means for Newcastle. Well, first of all, it means we'll have a head coach who is actually kind of a head coach. You know, he wasn't just bumped up like John Carver was. He's actually got some kind of a pedigree. Not necessarily a good one. You know, there's a good reason why he's called Wally with the brolly. And in the second half of the season, he didn't do much for Derby, to be honest. Honestly, I had Derby pegged for the title, for the championship title at about January, and then as soon as he got linked with Newcastle, funny enough, it all went to shit. So you can argue perhaps he's more of a manager that can get results, but if he seems to be affected by press, which unfortunately for him at Newcastle, it's going to be a tough one. But we'll see what happens. So then, positives. He is actually quite a good manager. You know, he has funny stints. That's the thing. You know, I think his first managerial stint was with Middlesbrough. What did he do? He won a cup, and also was the first manager to ever qualify for a European team for Europe with Middlesbrough. First English manager to actually win a trophy since I think like 1966. From him, first English manager, not just first manager. And he had a good season. He had a pretty good tenure there, and then he went to England. Of course, then it was Wally with the brolly. He was absolutely shit. He didn't qualify for 08 Euros, and that all went wrong. He was then given a lifeline at, I think it was Nottingham Forest first. Again, that didn't go horribly. It didn't go brilliantly either. He was then given Wolfsburg, and then he fucked up Wolfsburg. He was then given FC 20, I believe. Sort of did it for a little while. You know, he was all right. I think he won the he won the title with FC 20. And also something I've heard is that one of the reasons why FC 20 is in administration now is because he refused to sell his best players, and well, he's the head coach, he doesn't have much of a say in that anymore, but it is nice to at least know that he might try to fight for it. This is what I hear. This isn't necessarily what happened. I'm not 100% certain on this. He then went to some other club. He then went back to FC 20, and then ended up at Derby. Now at Derby, he had a good run really. First half of the season last season. You know, as I say, it was brilliant. I thought I had them pegged for the title. He then fucks it up as soon as he's sort of picked out by Newcastle, I suppose. And so it depends which manager we're getting. Well, which head coach, I should say, we're getting. Is it going to be the head coach? I keep saying manager because it's head coach is a fucking stupid idea. It should be a manager. I'm sorry. It seems unfair to give a head coach the players. You use them, you do what you're fucking told, and you make a team out of them. No, I'm sorry. The manager's no better than fucking Lee Charnley and Graham Carr. Graham Carr's a good scout. You can pick out good players, but if I actually sort of in a match, I wouldn't trust him. Honestly, that's why I've always thought it should be a manager, not a head coach, because it's a bullshit idea. But anyways, it depends which head coach we get. Will we get Middlesbrough head coach, or will we get Wolfsburg or England head coach? You know, it all depends on what we get. Could go well. You know, he could bring some players with him. I mean, there's been talk of, Will Hughes would have quite a price tag, but Will Hughes is a good player. He's meant to be a big up-and-comer. There's also Tom Ince, who, although he did shit at Hull City, he actually did well under Stephen McCLAREN when he was loaned to Derby. And it was one of the few rare good things I think that came out of Derby's second half of the season was the fact that Tom Ince actually performed. But I don't know if this is true, like 11 goals and 21 appearances. I the top of my head, something like that. He did well, basically. There's a couple of others that he's run into. He might bring in. He has good rapport with Cheick, of course, because Cheick was at FC20 when Steve McCLAREN was there, and apparently they got on quite well. So, you know, might get Cheick to either stay, if that's what you want, or, in my personal opinion, you might get Cheick to actually fucking perform. Which, quite frankly, judging by recent little vines, doesn't suggest that he doesn't look in any mood to perform, even if he was full fit. So, Steve McCLAREN has a fairly good, I suppose, tenure with youngins. He's well known, actually, somewhat, to bring up youngins nicely in a good, strong setting. I mean, to like set them up to be players, which is something that Newcastle's been severely lacking under Pardew. I mean, Perez and Dummett are probably the only two players who really come up through the academy system in a club that tried to put the academy first. You know, tried to desperately bring up local talent, and they only did it with two, and one of them isn't even local. So, you know, that's something. And even then, Jose Perez did brilliantly, but he was forced into it. It wasn't his choice to do brilliantly. He was thrown in at the deep end. He had to perform. So, anyways, overall, actually, it is really good news. I'd have preferred Patrick Vieira myself, a little bit risky, but I'd have liked a little bit of flair at Newcastle, because Steve McCLAREN gets results, but it's not pretty football. It's not something we're going to be happy with. I get that sense. We'll see what happens. It's been the Geordie Jedi. Leave a like if you can, it really helps. Subscribe for more videos. This means there won't be any video tomorrow because I've released 2. I like to keep things, you know, simple and natural. See you later.